Hey guys, welcome back to another APC Tech Talk. I'm Matt from the R&D team here at All Purpose Coatings, and today I'll be telling you how to apply an epoxy plain coat system using our brand new EPO-HI GP Tinted epoxy resin. Let's get into it. There's a couple key points we have to hit. The grinding has to be dead smooth, as there's no flake to hide any ups, downs, don't actually leave with the grinder. To do this, you just run smooth diamonds on your cup, so essentially 9 like double white segments, or using a planetary grinder can also help to achieve a smooth finish. The next tip is when you're applying the prime coat, is just to ensure you're pouring out single ribbons and mixing them together to get as even as a coat as possible. And then 2 coats, you just do the exact same thing. The prime coat is 5 to 6 squares per litre, the base coat is 6 to 7. 10% thinners is all you need for most jobs. Some jobs you might have to do a sacrifice coat, but you can look at that in our prime coat video. We'll be mixing together our EPO-HI GP, which is our general purpose tinted epoxy, predominantly as prime coats or in like warehouses and whatnot. Just general purpose, essentially. So I'm gonna mix up 4 litres because it's a 3-to-1 mix. So 3 litres part A. Damn, I am good. That's spot on. Chuck a lid back on your A, so you can't do any mistakes by accidentally pouring or dripping any of your part B in. Get your part B, pouring in 1 litre on the dot. Man, it's like I do this for a living. Then, with our epoxy thinners, we need roughly 500 ml, which is about 10%. And we just pour this in. Here's some rollers and drills I prepared earlier. Cool. And you just mix. Is that done? Dump it in here. Dump it off. And we're good to start rolling. Not by the handles. And over here. Start on this side. With epoxy, it's best to roll in ribbons and lines, just because it keeps you as clean as possible. My first line will be pretty close to the wall, about a foot, maybe half meter back from the tape edge along that side, and I'm rolling out to about 1.5 meters wide. Then my next line will be 1 meter back from where I finished, and that section I'll try to get about 2 meters out of. I will continue to repeat that process until I finish the floor. Make sure to not push any bubbles up to the wall, so pull up about a foot from the wall, put it back down near the wall, and drag it back. So up, about a foot away, down, and drag it back. So up, down, drag it back. Up, down, drag it back. Just helps so you don't push beads up to the wall, which are extremely hard to get away from the wall. And flipping the roller over when you get to the edge, just because it usually contains the most amount of material. Then you have a good guess of where the end is, somewhere there. And a good guess about where I want this one to finish, which is about there. This is where cutting in would be handy, as I wouldn't have to get so close and so accurate with my roller placement at the end. The cut-in line would be about 100 ml wide, and allow me just to roll up to it and roll back from it. Flipping over, just get the edge of the room. And then, this is just a little thick, especially up that side, so I'm actually gonna start from that end, pull it out just a touch more, and keep going down. You just want your roller where it's talking to you, but not screaming at you. Trying to keep in line with yourself, it just makes it easier when you go over it again. Nice straight lines. Try not to do W's. Straight lines just help you be methodical, and it's especially good muscle memory when you get to the UV top coats. Or even the base coat on this finish. As you can see, when you do zigzag lines. The thinner the better with plain coats, as if they're too thick you can end up leaving bubbles, beads, lines in the floor, and it stands out even on the prime coat. Do another line about 1 meter back, about 100 mil wide, like that, and all the way across, and repeating the process. So about there is where it'll come to. Now you want to be somewhat quick when spreading out the prime coat, just because if you leave it in the one spot, it can actually soak away on you, and you'll feel like you've put out way less than what you actually have. We're not trying to fill in at the moment, we're just trying to spread the epoxy out, make sure it's soaking in across the whole area rather than just in that one ribbon. Again, getting to the edge, flipping over, just ensures there's the wet side of the roller. And then we're over rolling about 1 foot into the last section. This just helps to get rid of the roller marks and just even out the floor a bit more. Now again, I was a little thick on the left hand side, so my third coat, or my third pass, I'll start from that end and work my way back up this side. Just helps to even it out. Now it's something to keep in mind when you're doing prime coats. We'll start from this side, and on the third pass we actually want to roll up quite far into the last coat, just to ensure we're leveling out, making sure everything is as even and consistent as possible. Make sure not to stop once you're up there. If you stop, it can leave little beads. Those little beads will cure and sit there. Whereas if you're quick, it helps to get rid of them. Just ensuring we have everything coated. GP Tinted is good for just these simple jobs like warehouse floors. So meter back, 100 mil wide, across the whole floor. Oh, I got drips left at the end there. As I said, the concrete is a little porous, so it does like to soak in the epoxy sometimes. And considering this slab has been ground like 8 times back to concrete, we're quite deep in the concrete now. Understanding substrate, while it's not super important to just general application, it does help to save time and money. So if you value your time and money and how much product you're going to use, you'll value understanding substrates. You know, you could under predict how much epoxy you'll need. So this one I was aiming for about 5 square meters per liter, and it actually looks like it's using right on that, if not a little bit more, so close to like 4.8 square meters per liter. So it could be the difference between having to run out and get more epoxy and not. I covered a lot of it in the intro, but essentially there's nothing to save yourself with grinding. So any of your grind marks, tooling marks, it'll stand out because you'll look across the floor and in the reflection you'll just see little donuts and tooling marks in the floor. The other tip is thin coats are generally better. Like where the roller's talking to you, just helps to stay a lot more even with the application, which means you don't leave beads or anything. But they're not a big deal as they do self-level. Yeah, this is drinking up way more than what I thought it would, to even last time I coated this. So last time I coated this at 6 squares, but it's drinking it today. And that's purely because I've gone back down to like raw concrete. So from where this concrete started, I've probably taken off about 5 mil from the top, if not even a centimeter, which is a lot in terms of concrete and grinding for epoxy. That's why when you're mixing up for floors, you actually want to aim for about 10% over what you think. I, however, didn't. I aimed for exactly on 5 square meters and I was wrong. Doing the second rollover, and this just coats everything to try and look as coated as possible, I guess. And we'll do one more pass just to finish off and make it look great. that's done. That's how you prime coat a floor. We'll come back tomorrow and sand or scrape and apply our base coat, and that'll be the floor done, as well as patching anything that might need patching. Get ready to apply my next coat of EPO-HI GP epoxy resin as our base coat to our plain coat system. All we gotta do is just give this one a quick sand and we'll be ready to go. You're not trying to sand through the floor or, you know, take it back to the concrete. It's just scratching the top surface of the floor just to get rid of any imperfections and impurities. Epoxy to epoxy, you have about 3 days to put the next coat down. So if you put your next coat of epoxy down within those 3 days after your prime coat, you'll get what's called a chemical bond. After that 3 days, the prime coat has cured enough where it'll no longer chemically bond to anything afterward. So that's where you'd have to mechanically sand it. So as I said, sanding is an option for a better looking floor. Most floors don't need it. Warehouse floors like plain coats, you generally end up having to sand anyway. So I've just cleaned up the floor with the vacuum and just gotten all the dust out of any of the pinholes that might be on the floor. So what we're going to do now is use our epoxy putty kit to fill in all these pinholes that have shown up, and then go from there and do our base coat. So we're now going to just patch these pinholes that we've got across the concrete, and all you do is just grab a little bit on your spatula, get down on the ground, and you just sort of push it into the hole. If you want further information, go check out our epoxy putty video. Alright, so now we're going to get into our base coat and start coating that. Ta-da! Let's get rolling. So we've let the putty sit for 15-20 minutes, which is enough time for it to just tack off, which means we can roll over it without the fear of picking it back up and creating lumps everywhere. Which means we're good to start coating. Try not to stand in your putty. That's a general tip of life, I guess. Don't stand where you goop. I stood where I gooped. So a plain coat system, while on its own is very simple, is actually the base for most, if not all, of our other systems. So every system starts off with 2 coats of epoxy, which is exactly what we've done here. So I like GP Tinted just because it comes in large batches, it's pre-tinted, easy to roll with, it's Australian made and manufactured, which means you're getting the highest quality. It's got the same benefits as GP Clear, just it's pre-tinted. So that's how you do a plain coat system using our brand new GP Tinted epoxy, available now. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.